Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'll be going over what I think is good and bad in the Soulforge. But first of all, every Monday what I do recommend is popping over into the shop to the weekly event and grabbing the weekly troop. This one's Brian the Clucky. And what this does is eliminate a certain amount of points of a random skill from all enemies. So, not particularly useful. Entirely reliant on luck and not quite sure how you'd have a use for this thing, but the main interesting thing about it is that middle trait, the Chaotic Wish, 10% chance to create a wish gem when my turn begins. I did a video earlier today on what wish gems do, so check that out if you've not seen it already. It's just a little short video explaining what the wish gems do. So there's Brian the Clucky. What I always recommend to do is, if you've got enough glory, is take that all the way up to Mythic and grab that, because you get a whole bunch of arcane beast trait stones this time, a load of gold, some extra keys as well. So I'm going to do that. Got him. And what you can also do while you're here is Spoils of War. If you've got an excess of glory, is definitely worth picking up. Go across and grab the maximum 10 amount of them. More effectively free stuff on resources you're generally not going to be using very much. Right, now on to the Soulforge. Let's take a look what's in there this week. Always interesting to see what's going on. Ooh, interesting. Right, I'm going to start from the bottom and go up. All these are only there because I've got the Soulforge to level 20, so I can't really go over them right now. And other things like Trick and Treat, Duskbringer, Soul of Xanathos, etc. in here all the time. So they are in previous Soulforge videos, so no need to go over those all the time. I actually thought Trick and Treat was a seasonal thing around Halloween, but for some bizarre reason it is still there, and it's a really good weapon. I really like it. Definitely worth picking up if you've not done so already. But that is in previous Soulforge videos as well. The ones that aren't, not sure what Face Stick is, deals 36 in my case splash damage to an enemy, and then explodes 8 gems of one of their mana colours. So quite a low level weapon, but and nothing special either, I would say. All those are there already, then these other ones are not. Dagger of Zaijin removes all green gems, so you don't get any mana effect from that at all. That's just literally removing them. You can use that to create a 4-match sometimes. If there was a green gem between two other colours that had 2 of the same colour above and 2 colours below, you can use that to create a 4-match on that kind of thing. And then deals damage to an enemy boosted by the amount of gems removed. And if the enemy is from Zaijin, deal double damage. So an okay-ish weapon, but nothing fantastic again. A Doomed Breaker deals a lot of heavy splash damage to an enemy with a +4 per tempering level boost, stun all green enemies and cleanse all green allies, explode 4 gems, and if the enemy has a doom, explode 3 more. So a super situational weapon. You basically need to be fighting an all green team to get the most out of that and have an all green team on your side. So quite situational and not that great. I prefer the doomed weapons that do damage and then change a certain gem colour to a doom skull. They are far more effective, but if you're a completist and you're going to be wanting to collect all these eventually anyway, and you do have an excess of diamonds, it's certainly worth picking up. This is probably a pick of the bunch of the weapons that are easy to obtain this time around for me. Norbert's Turnip. Been waiting for this one myself. Deals, in my case, 39 damage to an enemy boosted by goblin allies, then creates a mix of 6 green and red gems for each goblin ally. Seems to be a pretty reliable weapon. You see this weapon come up all the time in goblin teams. It's really good. There's quite a lot of really effective goblins that use green and red, so that is a decent weapon, and absolutely would recommend grabbing that, and I'm going to do that right now. And thank you very much. A Flesh Ripper, also another really good weapon. Like this, eliminate all armor from an enemy, then deal 36 in my case damage boosted by armor eliminated. So you're going to eliminate the amount of armor and then do a bunch of damage at the same time. Because it eliminates the armor first, that damage is effectively true damage. So another decent weapon. Not sure you'd use it all the time, but a lot of these ones for fairly low cost diamonds are always going to be worth picking up, because you're going to want to collect all the weapons in the end anyway. You just know it. Right, on to the troops. Darksmith Drenzer is only there because I have, again, the Soulforge to level 20. and otherwise he would not be there. And stuff like Hatire Ascendant, Leonis Tower, and Rage Kurandara are there all the time. Zilopochtli. Now, an interesting troop. Deals a certain amount of damage to an enemy, boosted by purple gems, and if there's a storm, you deal double damage. And if the enemy dies, create 12 skulls. The good thing about that is, obviously, you can safely predict when you're going to kill someone, because you can work out the maths on the damage, and then know if you're going to get that kill or not. The bad thing about this is there are other troops that do a very similar spell, which I think are a lot better. Phoenicia does damage to all, and she does the double damage with a storm thing, and Umaneth does a very similar spell as well, and I think is better. So, an interesting troop, but there are better ones that do a very similar kind of spell. And a really weird third trait as well. Deal 12 damage to a random enemy when matching yellow gems, which is really weird when the troop doesn't actually collect yellow for its own mana. So that's slightly bizarre. But it does have a decent middle trait, immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy, and death mark. Vashdagon devours an ally, then summons a daemon if the ally is devoured, then deals a certain amount of true scatter damage, boosted by my life. So that's interesting, and what that second part of the spell means is, when it says then summon a daemon if the ally is devoured, is the devour is not absolutely guaranteed. If you cast this on someone who's immune to devour, they're not going to get devoured, and therefore you're not going to get that summon. So you do have to be wary of that. Just double check if you're not sure who you're going to cast this on, and make sure they are not immune to devour. And then deals that scatter damage boosted by my life. So the life will be boosted, because remember, when a certain enemy is devoured, their stats get added to yours. So basically, if you can cast this thing a couple of times, then your life is going to be boosted and your scatter damage will be increased. So interesting like that, but quite hard to integrate into teams. But a really good third trait, curse a random enemy when matching brown, and a really good middle trait as well, immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn. Not essential, but probably worth crafting if you do not have a mythic yet who's from Karakoth, and you need that to increase the power level of that kingdom. Megavore. Really good. I still like this guy. It's been around a while, but I still like it. Eliminate all armor from all enemies, then deal a lot of damage to an enemy and submerge myself. Now, because you strip all the armor from all the enemies first, that damage is effectively true damage, which is really cool. And he's got an excellent third trait as well, an 8% chance to kill the last enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches. That 8% does seem to be a low 8%, if you know what I mean, in this game. But if you've got like a vague looping team that can actually create a lot of 4 matches with this guy included, then that is going to happen from time to time, and you will get an easy instant kill. It's got a really nice middle trait as well, impervious, immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn. So certainly a decent troop, and again, well worth getting. Zul'Goth and Xanathosset here all the time. Wulfgarok deals 34 damage to an enemy boosted by Wargear allies, and if the enemy dies, devour a random enemy. Again, so another troop where you can control it to a degree, but you do have to normally do a lot of damage first to an enemy to actually be able to cast him on to actually guarantee you get that kill, because the main benefit of that is obviously getting that kill and then getting that devour from the random enemy. So that's okay. The last trait, which is supposed to be the best one, is a little bit lame. The middle one again is good. Impervious, immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn. But no absolutely essential troops here. Oh, we've got another one, Scroll Reborn. Creates 5 yellow gems, then converts all yellow gems to Doom Skulls, then summons 1 to 3 wargs. This is really similar to the Lord of Slaughter. The Lord of Slaughter creates, I think it is 6 brown gems, then converts all brown to Doom Skulls. This creates 5 yellow gems, so 1 less gem, but still converts those gems to Doom Skulls. I think this costs, I can't remember what the Lord of Slaughter costs to cast. I think it's lower mana cost than the Lord of Slaughter. But one bad thing about this, technically, is it's a boss, and not just a mythic. And there are a lot of troops out there now with the Godslayer trait, which means just 1 skull hit or 1 cast on this, and this thing can be taken out. with that 3 to 5 times damage from the Godslayer troops. As far as the traits go, nothing fantastic. The middle one is the best. Immune to all status effects, Devour, Lycanthropy and Mana Burn. And Solar Inspiration is pretty lame. Give 4 attack to all beast allies when my turn begins. So, is that it for Mythics? Yes, it is. And we've got a few legendaries here. So we've got Shegra first. Shegra's okay. Creates 6 red gems, then turn all red gems to skulls. This can work really well in a Phoenicia type team where you're going to burn enemies and get extra damage when they're burning and things like that. So it can work good. I've actually got a Shegra team similar to that, which is really, really effective. Karnok even. It's a Karnok. Sounds like some dodgy thief. Deal 1 true damage to all allies, then create 7 red and 7 brown gems, boosted by Orc allies, and summon an Orc troop. An okay troop, but main benefit of that is if you've got an Orc team, all Orc allies start with 50% mana. So, yeah, again, what we'll say about these is no legendary, in my opinion, is generally absolutely worth casting. I mean, I'm crafting, but you're better off saving your diamonds for those much, much harder to get mythics. Borealis freezes all enemies, a really handy thing to do, but becoming less powerful because classes like the Elementalist class now has a trait where you just freeze a random enemy on a 4-match now and things like that. So things like this becoming less powerful as the game goes on, then deals a certain amount of damage to the weakest enemy. So nothing particularly fantastic, but does do triple skull damage versus frozen enemies. So the fact you freeze them all first and then deal triple skull damage can be effective in the right team. As well as that, as decent ice armor, reducing damage from skulls by a whopping 65%. And Sylvanimora, if I can even say it, explodes a column, then deals a certain amount of damage to all enemies. So a little bit of mana generation and a little bit of damage to all. But again, nothing fantastic, but the third trait is quite handy. Entangling the first enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches means that you can actually do some skull generation as well if you included that in a team like this without danger of being hit back from them skulls. And I think that is it. So yeah, from the troops kind of thing, I don't think there's anybody or class as essential in there this week at all. Probably Megavore, the best one out of that lot, maybe. Nobody absolutely amazing in my opinion. Maybe a time to hold on to your diamonds and see what happens next week. On the weapons, I think absolutely the best ones in there I just crafted earlier, and they are Norbert's Turnip and Flesh Ripper. Really like those. And there's this week's Soulforge review. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, it'd be cool if you hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. And catch you again later. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.